I read this book in one day. One day! I am giving Love at First Sight by Josh Sundquist 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. It was really good. Love at First Sight is about a boy named Will who was born completely blind, and he grew up going to a blind boarding school. When he's 16, he decides that he wants to go to a mainstream school for people whether they're blind or not. So it's mostly about him and the way he deals with being blind in a world where nobody else is blind, basically, and the friends that he makes, and also about the fact that he has the opportunity to be a part of an experimental surgery that will give him sight. The synopsis has more to it than that, but I'm not going to actually say the stuff that's in the synopsis because I feel like the synopsis is actually not really what the story is about. I feel like it puts too much focus on one tiny little aspect of the story, and I feel like that's not what message the book should be giving out, really. Like, I feel like that's not what the message was trying to... Like, the message of the book is not what the synopsis says it is. The publisher wanted this synopsis because they thought people would buy it with that synopsis, probably. So, anyway, I like my synopsis better. And first, I liked the writing. It was very easy to get into, easy to read quickly. It was very casual. The dialogue, for the most part, was very well done. So, I liked that aspect of it. I also really liked reading from Will's perspective. Because he has never been able to see, he doesn't know how to describe basically what it's like to be blind, and he doesn't know how to understand people's descriptions on what certain things look like. Especially what I really enjoyed was that when people were trying to explain to him what things looked like, they would use examples from other visuals, which he still doesn't know that. He's still, like... He still can't wrap his head around that because they're just using other things that you need to be able to see in order to understand, and I really liked that that was in there, and like that. I also really liked his sense of humor. I thought he was pretty funny, and some of the things that happened in the story were also really funny. Like there was one part when they were at a dance, and then everyone started complaining, and he was like, "What happened?" And the girl he was with was like, "Oh, the lights just turned on," and he was like, "What? You mean the lights have been off this whole time?" And she was like, "Yes," and he was like, "People just dance in the dark the whole time?" And she was like, "Yes." And because he doesn't know that because the lights are off that people can't see at all, he doesn't understand, and it was good. There were a lot of little aspects about that I really liked. What I also really, really, really liked about the story was what it was like for him when he got his sight. I thought that part was really, really well done, because before I got to that part, I think I was like 10 pages into the story, and I started talking to my friend. Imagine what it would be like to never see, never have the experience of seeing anything, and then being able to see. And we were talking to each other about it, saying how basically it would be one of the most overwhelming things, probably the most overwhelming thing anyone could ever experience, because there's so much to see. Like, there's shit everywhere. It's all things that you don't understand, and it's not because when you're a baby, you see everything everywhere, but, like, you're not expected to understand it all right away, obviously, and you learn it all slowly, and when you are a teenager, it's like, you're looking at things, but you don't know what they are. And I was saying to my friend how I feel like if I had been born blind and got sight, I would freak out and keep my eyes closed all the time. Because, like, looking forward, I wouldn't be able to walk with my eyes open. I would have to walk the way I used to walk before, by counting steps or whatever it was, or my cane or whatever it was that I used, because looking ahead doesn't mean anything to someone who hasn't seen before. My friend and I went into this huge conversation about that kind of stuff, which just blows my mind. And then I was kind of worried that maybe he would get his operation and wake up and be like, "Oh, hooray, I can see, amazing, look, it's my mom, and look, it's my dad, and look, it's my face in the mirror, and look, it's a baseball," or whatever. I was very pleasantly surprised to see how he reacted to it and how he experienced it. I'm not going to tell you what happened, the things he said, or the things he thought, or what happened when he first started seeing things. You need to read it and read it for yourself, because I thought it was really, really well done. The only thing that I didn't like about when he was starting to see was he did use some, like, visual words in his descriptions as to, like, what things looked like to him and how he didn't know what they were. He used some things that were, like, visuals that he wouldn't know what those were either in order to use that in his explanation. At the same time, I know how difficult it is to try and think of an explanation of what it would be like for someone to experience something for the first time and not like have a limited vocabulary around it, but the person who is actually explaining it has this vocabulary. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. Like, Josh is not a person who was born blind and gained sight. He is someone who has always been able to see, and there are a lot of descriptions that someone who has always been able to see probably don't realize they are based on visuals, I guess. And it's not like there's someone who has experienced this who can call him out on it or help him with that. But yeah, so there were parts of the descriptions that I thought were slightly problematic, but also hard to avoid. I felt like the ending was kind of rushed, and I also... the stuff about Cecily, closer to the end, after he can see, some of the people's reactions to it bothered me a little bit. I feel like they were being really harsh. It was a very minor part of the story. The stuff about Cecily was a very, very minor part. Like, it wasn't, like, what the story was really about. The story didn't revolve around that. It was just a little aspect of the story. And they made it, like, the big plot point in the synopsis. But that's not the plot point. The plot point, to me, is about a boy who is born blind and has an operation to be able to see, and his experiences around that, and how he makes friends when he's blind. Just saying that on a synopsis doesn't sound as interesting, I guess. So, I guess that's my review. I really enjoyed it. I had a few minor problems with it, but overall I thought it was really good. Yeah. Decides that he wants to go to a real school. Well, not a real school. Obviously blind school is still real. Let's try that again. It wasn't as big a... I'm not a scratching post. You just ruined my brand new jeans by using my leg as a scratching post. Seriously?